Anthony, hi, good to see you. Do you want to just take a minute and tell people who you are and what kind of thing that you do?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, and good to see you again. So, Antony Bream, founder of Ribbit Consulting. So, I have 30 plus years background in IT. I spent most of my years working for corporations, building, running global sales teams, selling software into financial services for the last 15 years. So, I've really sort of been through the journey of how do you onboard new people? How do you create great salespeople? How do you make those salespeople successful? How do you nurture them along the journey? And selling software to financial services is quite a tough job because lots of gatekeepers. It's a very risk averse industry, lots of competition. So I've really enjoyed being a boss, building up sales teams, and looking at the sales process, looking at the psychology of selling, and conversely looking at how people buy from technology vendors for the sorts of firms that I've worked for. And then 8.5 years ago, I formed my own company, Ribbit Consulting. I felt that I'd like to take that experience, that advice, that knowledge out to more than one company, not to work for somebody, but to help other firms that are looking to build the same journey through their own companies. So I tend to now advise startup and scale up technology companies. I work closely with founders, with their teams to help them understand how do we take this great product, this great service, how do we actually make it successful in the market. And I guess my driving reason to do that is I love helping companies create great brands that they're proud of. I look back fondly at a number of my careers where I've helped a brand become very well known and we've been on a successful journey. But most equally important, I think, I've actually helped nurture young salespeople along the way to become very successful salespeople. And hopefully some of that's rubbed off on them, and they're also now, enjoying a world of complex selling, but helping solve complex challenges in the marketplace they're selling into.
Perfect. So pivoting from there, obviously you've had a little bit of time to think. Having to pick just one piece of advice, the one big piece of advice that you can give people, what would it be and how have you managed to apply it?
It was quite hard actually just to pick the one, because I think in the industry that I work in, the complexity around it's one of those industries where there's lots of different types of advice you can give. But I think the one that really surfaced to the top, and possibly there's a little bit of background in selling, which is why it surfaced to the top out of the many that I was thinking about, is think win-win. So when you're going into a client, you're working to understand their problems, you're working to understand their stakeholders, you're trying your best to position your value to differentiate from the competition. There's all of these things that you're constantly having to think about and try and do, and get to the point where they pick you and choose you and contract with you. I'd say the one bit of advice that I think isn't just necessarily valid for selling; it's valid for anything that you do in life, whether it's bringing up children or changing a career or setting up your own business. I think it has to be think win-win. What is the win for you? What is the win for the client or for the third party? And I think once you start to think that way, it does two things. First of all, it makes you think quite differently about how you're approaching what you're doing. How do I help my client win? How do I help my company win with that client? What are the things that we need to do together? Because I can't win on my own. I have to get marketing involved and product management. It makes you think more outside of your own self. So you get the team together and you make the team win together with you, if that makes sense. But also the second thing is it puts you in the shoes of the client you're trying to sell to. So how can I help give my client a win? Because once I can help myself and my team understand that, and the client understand that, that's the win-win. And in these complex times of selling, lots of pressure on organizations to reduce costs, to become or remain compliant, to do more with less. I think if you're able to understand how you can make your client win, and they can then understand how you're going to make them win, you're either uncovering hidden risk or hidden opportunity across their business, and that makes them win because that makes them deliver effectively, successfully on their project. It makes them maybe realize more opportunity or uncover more hidden risk in their business. So that win-win mentality, I think, is one piece of advice I give to people, to make you think for yourself, how do I win? And for the person you're trying to help on the other side of that table, how do I make them win? That helps to clarify, I think, the thinking and the way that you work with that particular client going forward. So think win-win, and that will always help you clear the fog and have your line of attack, your line of engagement more clearly defined. And just keep asking yourself the question during a lengthy, complex sales process or contract negotiation: am I still on the think win-win road here? Or is it one win and one loss? If it's one win and one loss, it's not going to be a successful outcome. So how do we keep ourselves on the track of win-win? And that will be my piece of advice.
That's great. Thank you. And if people wanted to get in touch with you, what kind of contact would be mutually beneficial, and how would they do it?
So I have a website, which is www.ribbitconsulting.co.uk. That's all one word, Ribbit Consulting. So please visit my website. There are some other blogs and information around how I help my clients with that win-win journey. That's a combination of consulting, some intellectual property that I've built around looking at the client buying cycle and how you can drive that knowledge of the client buying cycle to make sure that you make that win-win work. I do coaching and mentoring, so I can help my clients who I coach and mentor win-wins as well, whether it's personal or professional or for their own company. And my email is Antony with no H, ANTONY @ribbitconsulting.co.uk. So please reach out on one of those two channels and we'll be happy to chat.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No problem, Dan. Thank you.